Hey guys, it's Whiskey Talkin. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Robinette. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, entrepreneur, now podcast host.
Oh, and I'm Caleb Graham. I'm a videographer, photographer. Moved down to Nashville about 10 months ago, and now we're doing a podcast, right? So
yeah, with a couple more Ohio boys. Well, at least one's living there. The other one's from there too. We have Trae Myers.
That's me.
And are with us today.
What's up, y'all?
And since it's Cinco de Mayo, we figured we would break the habit here and do a little tequila. So we'll start off with a shot of tequila.
cheers.
Well, we celebrated last night.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're hungover, so this should be fun.
Tequila talking.
Yeah, we're back on the horse. Here we go.
We got a nice little spread for hungry people right there.
Oh, yeah, appreciate that.
So queso, sausage.
Yes, if you
Great
ever,
combination.
you can always put whatever you want on your rider. When you're coming on the podcast, just make sure you let us know
Yeah,
beforehand.
next time.
Probably won't get any of it, but you put it on the rider. All right, we're going to start off with Trae here for a second. Trae is actually an Ohio boy, like me and Caleb. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Trae.
I'm born and raised in Columbus, a little suburb called Pickerington, not too far from where you grew up. I was always into music, but I played sports throughout, growing up, and football and baseball, and got into music when I was about 15, picked up the guitar, self-taught, and then kind of just threw myself out to the wolves, started playing cover gigs around town, up and down 256 in Pickerington, and we used to play like the classic rock, anything that would attract the demographic that we were playing for at the time.
When did you actually start playing out?
So I think we were actually underage, like playing out in the bars, and like we had like a 15-year-old in the band, and we were just we were playing at like Big Town Pub, like these biker bars and stuff. I mean, they were like fights and brawls on St. Patty's Day, and we're just like 19 taking shots of Fireball and stuff. But yeah, man, that's kind of where it all started. And then took a couple years off. I had my first child, and when that happened,
How old were you then?
I was 26 when Aiden was born. And so yeah, there's like 2 or 3 years where I wasn't playing out, because I was focusing on my business and being a dad, figuring out the whole thing out. So I got a call from Brandon Crawford. He's like, hey, there's a battle of the bands to open up for Kane Brown that WCL is putting on. I'm like, dude, I haven't played and, quite some time. I've been picking up the guitar and stuff, playing around the house. But I'm like, if you put the band together, I'll go sing or whatever. So we went out as Trae Myers, and we had some of the best musicians in Columbus, that Brandon got. So we ended up playing like a 4-week, it was like a 4-week competition every Thursday for a month, and came out on top. So once we won that, we just started getting more and more opportunities with Flanagan's in Dublin. We've all played there. They've been a great support for local
I love
artists.
what they do for local music.
David Straub,
Like regional acts.
Yeah, they've definitely slowed down a little bit over the past year or so. But I mean, they were putting on shows every month, big names, and they were calling us and you to come play those. So that really helped, just building that resume and building the fan base. That's been pretty crucial, part of my career and this journey so far. So that's pretty much, how I got to where I am today. And there's a lot more to be done, but just got to keep writing music and producing better songs every time. And I feel like we're doing a pretty good job at that.
So yeah, let's pause for a second and let's see where.
It should be okay.
Okay.
I can
I
work with it.
just want to make sure. Once he's back there, sure.
This guy mows about every time we film a podcast.
Or the neighbor Mo.
We're staying up the same time.
Right. Once he gets, as soon as he gets done with this portion, we're gonna go here.
This is how I was woke up this morning too. 7:30 in the morning. The dreaded sound.
We'll keep rolling here. And now, Alan, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. I know that you actually are from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Originally, right?
Yep. Born and raised in Jersey. Sorry, guys, I'm a little hungover today, so
We love it.
it's tired voices on right now. So, but yeah, I grew up in New Jersey on a farm, doing farm boy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What part of Jersey?
It's called Wrightstown. I was right on 537, right down the road from Six Flags in Great Adventure in Jackson. So it kind of gives you like a landmark of where I was living and stuff like that.
It was actually a pretty rural area.
Oh yeah. So it was a soybean farm. My grandfather and my dad used to race horses as well, and they had a horse track out in the field and stuff. So well, that was before my time, but yeah, man, I grew up in Jersey.
You had kind of a winding path through it all.
Yeah, dude.
You were here in Nashville for a while.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I've been in the gutter a little bit with this music business, but
We all have.
it's only, it's the rightful pass.
Leave in the gutter.
It's the way to go anyway. I feel like you kind of appreciate stuff more going through some hard times and coming out on the other end. But yeah, man, I moved down here when I was like 19, 20, and played Second Avenue right on the street. I was a street performer for a while, for like 2 years. Yeah, man. Right across from Hard Rock Cafe and right on that corner. Did that for a while. Then I got a 9 to 5 and I worked at Big Time Boots, selling boots and hats and stuff. And then an artist from Columbus hit me up to go and do some shows with him and stuff. And
Yeah,
I did that for a while.
I met you like right before that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we kind of ran in the same circles, stuff, but
Yeah.
we never really got to hang out. I was incredibly busy at that time. I'm sure you were too. That's how
Yeah.
the city is.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I moved here and I, did the whole songwriter thing and songwriter nights, gotten with some good groups, good group people and stuff. And, yeah, I had a call.
Right?
Yeah. Bobby, Alex, Maxwell. Yeah. So, we used to run around this town a lot and, do the Nashville thing. If you're a musician, there's pretty much cut and dry what you're going to be doing, writing songs and playing out. So,
Networking.
right? Yeah. So, got picked up by a Columbus artist in Ohio, and then I, moved to Ohio, and, just kind of started building what I have today, organically, just try my best, give people the best show possible. I'm playing a crap ton of shows.
Yeah.
My list is huge. But, it's just staying consistent.
Yeah, what are some of those venues? Because I know, again, you kind of made it home base up there.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been there for how long?
8 years going on.
What are some of the venues like around Central Ohio you play?
Yeah, like the Bluestone. It's a great one. Obviously Flanagan's, like you were saying. Trae.
You still do like bar stuff too?
Yeah, still doing that. I like to just fill their schedule out. Just, that's what I do for a living. So,
Do you like pop booths and
we're playing Papa Boots this year. We're gonna do Dirty Ore, that's right next to it, and then Waterfront out there. Buckeye Lake.
You just played that new venue, Temple Live, too.
Temple Lives just got off the show with Brian Martin.
what is I love Brian. What is Temple Lodge?
Temple Lives it's an old Masonic lodge.
Okay.
It's pretty badass.
When I first I randomly saw that and my heart dropped for a second. I thought that they turned the Bluestone and renamed it. So
Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was similar to the Bluestone, but this place has 7 different ballrooms inside. It's got different capsize rooms.
considered.
It's massive, but it's eerily.
It's slightly haunted for sure.
Yeah, definitely it is. I wrote
Hello character.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so some of the bars, just trying to stay consistent with what I'm doing, trying to stay on top of everything, doing my best, entertaining people. That's what I love to do. Writing songs, people. And me and Trae's been writing a lot together and stuff, and it's just what I love to do, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want to live my life any other way but doing what I love. So
There you go, bro. I remember, actually, Caleb came with me. You were at the Bluestone.
yeah,
I opened up for Tyler Rich there a couple years ago. That was my first time playing it's probably 3 or 4 years ago now. But that was my first time playing Bluestone. I'd been there once before, but that was my first time playing it. But man, what a venue. So,
it's awesome.
sweet. Yeah. Just, again, one of those venues that I feel like you can go anywhere and there can be clubs and four walls anywhere, but you don't get feels like that.
I was gonna say there's a presence there. You walk through, you're on the stage, man. It's very captivating for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an artist, obviously, but I do love the idea of like I can do this like what's Monday at like 3 almost, and we're just drinking whiskey and taking tequila shots. Like, what's you two? What's your guys' favorite part about what you do?
I mean, for me, it's just never really knowing what could happen next, you know, like always what's over the horizon, you know, and when you put this work in and you have like a certain way of believing, you know, as far as like manifestation and law of attraction, and you look back on the past several years of our career and like, you know, we still have goals and things that we want to accomplish, but we've already accomplished a lot of things that, you know, we dreamt about when we were, you know, 19, 20 years old. So, you know, it's just that. It's simply just chasing that feeling and the flexibility. Like for me, you know, being a dad and having a business on the side and stuff. So like, I realized that music just makes me feel good. You know, there's a couple of years I took off.
It's you time.
Yeah.
As much as you give yourself that run out, it's like music's like your thing. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely took me to realize that, taking some time off, and you know, started to slip into like some depression and anxiety, and I thought it was just like kind of like the whole 2020 thing. But it was actually the fact that I wasn't even playing out at the bars like solo acoustically.
We're open out purpose, man.
Yeah. So once I got back to it, I was like, you know, I got to continue to do this for the rest of my life, you know, whether it's on stage or just songwriting, or, you know, I'm starting to get into dabbling with Logic and trying to produce my stuff. And
there you go.
Yeah. So it's,
yeah, you sent me a couple of things you recorded.
Yeah.
Man. It's a never ending process.
Yeah.
It's just like writing or being a musician.
Yeah.
Producing is even more infinite. Like you'll never run out of things to learn or things to change, or, yeah, I mean, it's just the variables are insane.
Yeah, I've been like locking myself in my apartment the past two weeks. Yeah, and all day, every day. And I'm like, I should probably, like, this is kind of turning into a problem, you know, like I should go work out or something. And I still don't do that. I'm still trying to convince myself to get my butt back in the gym. But yeah, that's what I do it for, man. It makes me. So.
Yeah, man.
It just is.
Right. Yeah. You know, I'm not gonna cookie cutter it. I like attention. You know, I like attention. So being an entertainer feeds my fire, you know, fills my glass.
You got the personality for it too. And you, like, to me, so you still have family and everything back in Jersey.
Yeah, I have family there. My mom and dad live in Kentucky. My brother lives in Kentucky. My other brother lives down in Florida. My sister lives around here. So,
yeah, dude. So what, in general, I mean, I get it. It's a lonely business. Like, we all know that. No matter how many friends you have in it, lining up schedules and everything else, it's like, you can't do it. And you miss so much in life, like focusing on music. You're the party that people are going to with their friends, you know, that stuff like that. So like being that far away from home and basically 2 new places, both places you found a way to flourish. And like, what's that been like? Like, just kind of, you know, starting brand new.
yeah, you know, it's crazy because I don't think of the past a lot. I don't dwell on it. So it's like a lot of those things that I did in my past, it's like all fuzzy, you know what I mean? I just don't remember. And it's like I was a different person back then. You know,
Diesel did that too. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I mean, not that I won't hit on that, but yeah, I'll answer it the best I can. I don't know.
Yes, my biggest thing was kind of like him. I was like, his me time and stuff too. I feel that way a lot. I don't get to me, but for you, even more so. Getting into a whole new like ecosystem of people and stuff that you don't know. Like I'm sure again, you have to lean on music even more.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I really like dig into my talent, you know, of what God gave me. And, I'm confident I'm confident in my ability to entertain. I'm confident in my ability to please people with my music. You know what I mean? So I think that's the biggest thing. If anybody's out there just starting out, I think confidence is the biggest thing, and believing in yourself and being believable to these people that are listening. You know what I mean? Because if they don't buy it, who will, who's going to? That's your audience. So
You have to buy in before anyone else will.
exactly.
And yeah, I say that all the time too. It's like, it's always a gray area between like what's cocky or conceited or whatever, that full shit.
Mm-hmm.
Being confident in what you've accomplished and what you can do and what you can do.
And I think that's the hurdle that a lot of people fall short. They can't get themselves to just F it, you know what I mean?
In the mirror and be like, hell yes.
Yeah, be like proud of yourself, I think people just give a shit about what other people think too much, you know what I mean? And it keeps them from doing what they want.
Back to like the manifestation thing too. It's the same thing, man. It's like if you're telling yourself you're not good enough all the time, then that's where you wind up.
That's right.
Yeah. And if you're telling yourself that you're good and you can get better and you keep doing it and manifesting it, I believe that those are the people that stick around and always get a shot.
I think one of the things is like artists, a lot of the artists that don't have the confidence, and I kind of came from this cloth, I worked hard to find the tonality of my voice over the years. And, Alan was gifted at 8 years old singing, and it was something that I've had to work for. So, I've always believed in myself, but there's been some doubt in my younger years where when you listen to yourself on a recording, right, and you're not finding that, like, you don't sound how you want to sound. So that really cuts through on a lot of these younger artists. Is like, you can go out and play live and play for 4 hours and play cover songs, and do that. But
never quite have to hear yourself.
Right. Yeah. But like, if you're not sitting in a studio and writing and recording and actually like trying to critique yourself as you go, you're just prolonging the process. But if you're sitting down and you're actually listening to the recordings back to you, it really helps. I mean, every day you're getting better. But you could go out for 5 years and play live and play the same cover songs for 5 years, and you're not fixing your voice because you're just trying to sound like these other artists.
Or again, you're sounding over people.
Exactly.
Too. You're not critiquing it that same way. It's a great point. I used to, if y'all remember cassettes. So when I first started playing, I was probably like 14, and we had this old, like, this, no joke, this cassette recorder was like this big. The whole back was a speaker, and it was just enough room to put a cassette in. And we just lived in this like little trailer, and would go into the bathroom because it was the only place where it was like kind of quiet and like get wet. And I would sit there and I would do it. I record myself. I remember the first few times I'm like, nope, not be doing this. Like, no. And I would just keep doing it, man. Every night I would record myself, and I would find the parts where like I knew that like I wasn't delivering right, or I was getting pitchy or whatever. And then I would focus on that, and I would re-record. And that's, I mean, one of the beautiful things about living in bumfuck Egypt is I didn't have anywhere else to go. It was either playing in the yard or playing music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it's really fun to have people on that are like, you can feel like they're inspired to do what they love doing, right? What are your guys, what is some of your biggest influences in your music?
My influences? So I didn't grow up listening to country music. I lived on a farm, but
I was going to ask you about that earlier, but then you're like, well, I was like, I was going to get into like how country became the thing for you.
it was, I mean, my dad listened to like, Leonard Skinner, Molly Hatchet, like Southern rock stuff, rock and roll. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I grew up around. Every time we go to work.
Country today.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And, around, I'd say junior year of high school, I played baseball growing up and all the way till 18 years old. And some of the guys on the baseball team would, listen to country music. So I think I heard Jason Aldean when he first came out. And I was like, damn, that's good.
Yeah, I mean,
That gives me that rock feeling.
That's only interesting if you old timer or just old time. The energy in the voice, like the rawness, like everything. Like, you have great tones and you're a great opus, but like the energy behind it reminds me of that so much. And something that's so hard to actually capture, like record it. You still do that, right?
Thanks, man. I just, I tell a lot of people, it's just like, you got to feel the music, you know what I mean? You just don't be so like to the book with everything. Don't, feel what you're playing, feel what you're singing, They got to.
Make it muscle memory.
It's just like, James Brown. You know what I mean? Like,
if you can not Michael Jackson lyrics and all that stuff, that's like, to me, like, that's where the work comes in. You make sure that remember lyrics and all that stuff is just muscle memory.
Yeah.
And then you deliver it with passion, and it's way easier to feel it when you're not thinking about that or about that.
No doubt. Every time I was on stage, we just got done a show this past Saturday. And, there's a lot of times where I get home and I just kind of like, I think about what happened. You know what I mean? I'm like, how did I do? How did this go? And, a lot of people just get a kick out of me just like dancing on stage. But like, I can't stop. I just can't. Like, music moves me. You know what I mean? It just does.
It's supposed to.
It's like, I can't just stand there and sing. I just can't. It's just not my makeup. You know what I mean?
I heard Christian Bush one time after the Sugarland split. He had a bunch of really cool stuff. One was like, I think it was Hearse with a Trailer Hitch. And the hook was like, I've never seen a hearse with a trailer hitch. So it was like, give your stuff away. And like, he is one of the coolest when it comes to that type of stuff to me too, man. Like he believes that like music, well, I think what he said was, he gets a lot of stuff about like bringing hip hop beats and stuff into like country music and all that. But he grew up in Atlanta, and he was like, to me, I've listened to everything. From same with me, like from Motown, from Sinatra to Motown to classic rock to 80s to 90s, and he was like, to me, music needs to move you. Thank you. I'm on this quote him, I'm sure. If it should move your feet, move. I get it. But the last one was like, or move you to tears. And any of those things, like, he's like, that's music. That's awesome. He's like, even if it makes you tap your foot, that's music. Like, I feel the same way. I think most of us do, honestly. When we love music, we love music.
Yeah.
We don't love a certain kind of.
That's right.
We love it all. Take it or leave it. Like, there's stuff that I've learned that I don't like and I won't use, and stuff that I've learned that I honestly never thought of that I would use from listening to different genres.
Yeah, I was more of like a 90s guy. So when I started playing, it was like Goo Goo Dolls, Dave Matthews, Bare Naked Ladies, Rob Thomas. And that's, when I picked up the guitar, those were the songs that I was learning. So like to this day, when I write a song by myself, it tends to be slow, kind of lovey-dovey. And so I really enjoy co-writing with people because it kind of pulls me out of that. And it's something that I've struggled with as a songwriter, is especially like gravitating towards country over the years. And, the reason that happened was because of the movement that was happening in Columbus with Flanagan's putting on these shows and, Red, White, and Country. And
giving like kind of the BC level country artists place to like showcase.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't like, again, so many rock venues, so many like hip hop pop venues, but there wasn't stuff that was consistently bringing in country.
Right. So like the fact that there was a scene forming, about 10 years ago. It's basically when you came on this, and you were a part of that. You know what I mean? You were a part of that.
A year was pretty close. Yeah, about the same time.
2016, 17. Yeah, so 8 years ago, something like that. But, Flanagan's, once I saw like some of these local guys getting on those opening acts, I remember going to Dustin Lynch there and up at the VIP over the thing. I'm like, I'm going to play this show. I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? And 4 years later, I made it happen, we did it. But it was something that I gravitated towards because I knew that, being a singer-songwriter, like, it's just a much more broad thing. And there's nothing to like, you don't feel like there's a box that you can to really crawl into. It's like, where do I go from here? What city do I go to be a, like Ed Sheeran or whatever, that type of music. Because that's also another huge influence in my earlier years was Ed Sheeran. And I was learning a lot of his stuff. And I thought that my voice was very similar to him because I was also singing a little differently then. But once I started getting into country and learning country songs, it definitely brought out more of a lower tone to my voice. And as I've matured, I've just tried to, lean into that. But it's, Columbus, I really give it to the hometown of Columbus for kind of leading me to country, even though I was influenced by, 90s alt. And I listened to like Tim McGraw and Kenny and, Shania Twain and all those.
Top 40 country.
Yeah, like that. I was radio country, but I also like the Wallflowers.
Everyone was at one point.
Right.
So,
yeah. So, I've always been a sucker for radio hits too, and like learning those songs when you're playing out in the bars because you want to play the most popular songs you can. But as I've progressed, I'm like, dude, you need to be playing some of that stuff that, James Taylor and some Keith Whitley and that's kind of where I'm at now, where I need to kind of open my mind a little bit to learning some of that stuff.
So like I grew up a lot like you guys. I played baseball, basketball, football kind of my entire life. That was my identity. But my dad was a musician, singer, songwriter, and like I remember since the time I was 3, like I had this little toy guitar and like messing around with that, and he never pushed me too hard to actually play music, but he kept it front and center of my life all the time. It was our like back road rides where it was just me and him after a baseball game. And he would put something in that I'd never heard before, or he'd find something. And again, anything from, I covered James Taylor stuff all the time. I covered Jimmy Buffett stuff and all of that. But like, even like Hal Ketchum and when kind of classic rock started turning into modern country, so like Restless Heart and like they mimicked the Eagles, basically, the 3 or 5 part harmonies and, so very, very similar. My dad was kind of just the driving force behind expanding my musical knowledge. And I found that, again, at one point, I was like, I'll try to do this. I didn't know how I was going to do it, playing football, baseball, basketball.
Yeah.
And it was just like, he showed me 3 chords, because he would always work second shift, would be working like when I was home. And from there, the internet, like I just basically taught myself from there and started spending like probably only an hour, 6 to 7 or something at night, and then eat and then bed and like whatever. And within 6 months, I was out and I was like, yep, I'm doing this. Played at coffee shop. I was terrible, brother.
Let me ask you this. So those first 3 chords, were they G, D, C?
Always.
Maybe the E minor too,
Yeah, those are easy to add.
Yeah. I picked up my first guitar when I was 14 in Sevierville, Tennessee. A little mom and pop little guitar store. Walked in there, saved up $250.
Yeah.
I was 14 years old, mowing lawns and stuff.
For the people that don't know, Sevierville is basically Kitchen Forge, Gatlinburg.
Mm-hmm. And walked in there, this old guy. It was like something out of a movie scene. Like, it wasn't even like really lit up in there. You know what I mean? It was kind of like dreary, And he's just sitting in the corner. And I walk in, I'm like, looking at the guitars and stuff. And he comes over, what can I help you with, son? I'm like, I want a guitar. I want to buy a guitar. He's like, well, what do you got? And I said, $250. And he's like, well, I don't think I got anything in here for $250. He said, but let me check. So he goes in the back, grabs this just simple, plain, acoustic Yamaha.
I knew it was going to be a Yamaha. That was cool.
Put it in the art case for me. I was like, dang, that's a win.
Hooked you up.
Yeah. And then that's how I started. And I got on YouTube and learned G, C, D minor, played in my church a lot. Yeah.
It's funny because I think we see it more so, especially in country, I think. We see a lot of that. The people that are actually still doing it, that push themselves.
Yeah, man.
They didn't grow up like with, in music and everything else. They taught themselves, they invested in it, and they kept investing in it.
Yeah.
And that, again, that the self-worth and confidence that comes from like, I did this myself, like, is huge for you.
That's so true. So true.
Kill. What about your cameras?
What about them? Well, I started, I bought this 1D and I learned GCD on it. I don't know. No, it was actually, I don't know. It's a weird story, but the first camera I ever had was me working for a guy, and he's a rich dude. So he's like, I have this camera. Like, I don't know what it does. I was like, okay. So I took it, and it was a completely manual camera. So if anyone knows anything about them, like, you can't just click. There's nothing, right? So you're like, well, okay, now I have to know how to do this, right? So that was like, I think that's what got me really interested in everything, was just the fact that I couldn't just click a button to make it work. Like, I really had to understand how it worked. I was on YouTube, like you, like looking stuff up and like, why does this do this? Why is it blurry? And so you learn a lot of stuff, like, if you don't have that crutch of having that automatic feature in it. So that's really how I got started with like really understanding what I was doing, on my
It
end.
was something that was easy,
Yeah, 100%.
out.
And it's just, I think anybody, I did that during high school, college. I think anybody that is like really passionate about something will find that way to do it. No, it's one of those things where people, even when I was doing this, when I was 23, working for the schools and stuff, I'd have kids come up to me like, how do you do this and this? I'm like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you. But if you really care, you will go research it yourself, like, so I think that's like something I've always kind of gauged people on as well, was like when I was having people come in and say, hey, I know how to do this, or I want to learn how to do this. I'll be a teacher for you, but you've got to take that step on your own. Like, I'm not going to hold your hand through everything. Yeah. And I think that's probably the same thing with music, as far as like, you have to take that initiative yourself to go and make something of yourself.
I think you're cross-like, kind of same thing. It's like when you invest in something yourself, you invest your time and everything, it becomes a lot more important too.
Mm-hmm. And I know you want to talk a little bit about some of the different songs you guys have coming out, some of the songs you already have out, stuff like that. I think On a Boat was on our list.
On a Boat. Oh, damn. Yeah, we released that a couple years ago.
We can cut it.
No, it's cool. Hey, listen, On a Boat is I've had some people text me about it, because it's such like it's got like a summer anthem to it, and so I've actually been told to like make sure that I kind of not like re-release it, but make sure that I'm promoting it through this summer. And because when I released it, it was in September. We just missed the lake season and stuff, and it's like we're on a boat, we're shooting a music video out on the water in September, and we're like, we missed it, so like I want to get another chance to re-release that. But that one's cool. That was the last song that I cut in Columbus, actually. Ever since that song, I kind of realized that like I wasn't getting the grits, like the Nashville vibe, and that's kind of when you led me to Justin. And ever since I've been working with Justin, I've actually I feel like I've found an identity, and I'm just kind of like building off of that. But
yeah, I've seen you kind of take like the parts of the sound that we created with Justin, and now you're rolling with it. I
just leaning into that.
I feel like it fits you well, and staying in the low register stuff. I think you just like, everyone has their strong points. Some people are lucky enough to go across the board, of course.
TK, Alan Carl. Boy.
And we all have a comfortable register where we feel like we never have to strain. And like, again, that's when you can put the most feeling and reflection behind stuff too, is when it's in your pocket.
When you start like really like listening to some artists, and you see them play live, and they'll do some vocal range stuff live, but like on the recording, man, they're keeping it simple, and like you don't have to belt to make yourself heard, like. And I know where my voice sounds good now, so I'm just trying to lean into that. But we've been writing together a lot, and here recently, and like, we both kind of are suckers for like these slower songs, because we come with the acoustic guitar, like we're not building the track. We're like sitting there trying to write a song with acoustic. Next thing you know, we got ourselves a you know, a love song or something. And we're like,
Another
we
ballad.
both, like, we both want to sing on it, but we're like, we probably both shouldn't sing on this song. You don't want to be singing to each other, but
that's happened.
that's happened a couple times.
We listened to it back and we're like, man, it's not fruity.
I'm like, I don't care, man. I mean,
Pop world happens way more though.
Oh, yeah,
that
for sure.
happens a lot in pop. But you have two guys on a love song or a sex song or whatever,
Right.
And nothing's thought twice about it. But in country, maybe.
I feel like when it's sped up, you know, like if it's sped up a little bit, like even if it's mid tempo and it's got a beat, like Southern Pines, like that one doesn't feel quirky to me. It doesn't. There's nothing weird about that one to me. But we tried the Southern one, Stay, you know, and that was real slow and like, you know, it's about just changing your ways to get a woman back into your life. And he sang the first verse, I sang the second verse, and then we like flipped on the bridge. And he's like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. So, like,
Hurts back. I was just like, I don't know, man.
he's like, you can have it.
Yeah, it's yours,
That's
bro.
such a weird, blurry area for sure. Again, because in the pop world, like that happens a lot. Like they'll have a feature on a song to a girl, and the bridge might be a feature, and it might be a more rappy part or whatever, but it's someone different.
Yeah.
Saying. Yeah, but it is this kind of a weird, like, gray area.
The way that I was thinking about it was, when we first wrote it.
Both kind of going through the same technique.
Yeah, like the first verse.
That's how I took it. I remember what.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of took it when I first.
The first verse chorus is like that dude's struggle, and then the second verse chorus is that guy's struggle. You know what I mean? Like different guy's struggle. Talking to two different women. You know what I mean? But hearing it back, I was like,
Well,
it could be perceived differently.
he recorded the bridge himself, like.
He's making sure that lawn is fresh.
He's burning that grass.
No, he pulled the weed eater out. Like as soon as we sat down, I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, he originally had recorded the bridge on Stay, and he went home, and I like took the first half and I put my voice on, and I said, "I'm like, what do you think, dude? I love this. Sounds great." He's like, "Yeah, this ain't gonna work, brother." He's like, there's got to be one or the other. I'm like, why, man? I mean, it's a great song. I don't care, I don't look at it that way, but it, I understand.
I will say, going back to what you were saying about writing slow songs with acoustic, you know what I mean? It's just like, like I was saying, you feel the music, you feel what you're playing. And I feel like, bring acoustic, you get in those feels, you know what I mean? So that's how you write, Now I will say, the song that I have, Chasing Trouble, I wrote that coming back from Kentucky, and I was just banging on my steering wheel. And then I got home, and then I put chords to it.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of sequentially how it happens in my experience, and I feel like in general. So the same. I mean, everything like the Matchbox 20, Rob Thomas, I think is one of he's a talent that we won't see for another century. Like he's just insanely good with melody, lyric, and again, talk about feel. There's no one that sings with more feeling, in my opinion, than Rob Thomas. But I think when we start creating, it's because we're inspired to, or we need to. Right. And where does that come from normally? A dark place. Of course, it's letting out some darkness or some stuff that's bothering you. And I was the same way. So much of my early on stuff was, pretty emo-ish. Yeah. For lack of a better word.
No.
And I think sequentially, though, you start seeing, I remember I'm like, I won't listen to this stuff all the time.
Right.
There's plenty of times that I throw on feel-good stuff, just because I want to feel good, or on gym or wherever. And I was like, sequentially, I would get to those points where I'm like, I feel good. Why sit down and try to write something that I don't feel right now? And again, it comes normally it's the opposite. You force yourself to write something good when you don't feel it, because that's what everyone wants to hear. And I was just like, I truly just went by my mood. Like if I felt it, I knew I could write it well that day. Yeah. And again, sometimes just driving, I don't know how many melodies and stuff I come up with on road trips, and Nimos,
Yeah.
super safe, by the way, guys. I do this. I do it all.
Do you guys ever feel like your songs like kind of manifest your life, or like, you know, a lot of the times when I'm writing a song, and especially like co-writing, you don't really know where it's gonna go, you know, especially if you're building it from the bones. But like, I feel like there's some truth behind writing about things that you've experienced or you're going to experience. I feel like the truth is in a song, you know, and I heard that one time, like, do you guys ever feel like songs, you know, manifest your life? And I'm like, dude, I need to write a song about getting rich right now. Like, I want a boat, you know, and, you know, Chris Jansen, you know, he had a song like that, and I'm sure he's got a nice boat, you know what I mean? But that's something that, you know, I'm kind of in this phase right now where my songs are just kind of not sad, but just a lot of emotion, you know, because of the phase of life that I'm in. But I'm hoping to break out of that. And I think this next phase is going to be like the positive.
Writing about it will help you break out of it.
Yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I mean? Like, it is. You process all that stuff as you're writing it out too.
Mhm.
And I think you try to make sense of it. It's a great tool from my opinion. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I heard when Sam Hahn was first starting out, I remember I was still living in Orlando, and I was just starting to get back into music. I had written with Tyler Rich and stuff, and I remember all the songs I loved. I started looking up the songwriters and finding out who wrote it, and then interviews of it and stuff too. And of course, Sam is an amazing writer. And I remember watching this video where they were talking about like how much of the stuff is true and how much is because he writes so specific and like really cool. And what he said, I think is true. He said, the storyline may be fake, but you can't write real music, and it can't be contrived. You can't, it's something that you've had to feel before, think before, or experience before, or you wouldn't know how to write it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How to make other people understand it. And I mean, I truly believe that's like it. I don't think you ever write something that's not you. You can write stuff that's not your brand or like, you know, what you're focused on, because people are only taking so much from one parallel. But yeah, I mean, I write stuff for girls and stuff too that I'm like, I've felt this stuff before, and I'm a guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything, but I wouldn't sing it like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's points where like I won't write a line because I don't want it to happen in my life, you know? Like, maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't want that to come true, but I truly believe that. I think there's magic in writing and music, and once it's out, it's to the world, you know, and like the universe is a mirror to our thoughts, you know, like what we think and what we want, it all comes back to us. And you know what's funny is I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the both of you guys, and I'm thinking back to like before I knew you guys, and I just remember like knowing about y'all, like seeing you around or hearing, you know, we worked with the same producer and engineer. I saw Alan like on socials or something, and there it goes the same for a lot of other guys that I've connected myself with this within this industry. It's like I've attracted myself to you guys by wanting to be friends, you know what I mean? Like, and I put effort into doing that.
Out there.
Yeah, I put effort into it, you know, without like overstepping or like, you know, I wasn't like DMing you guys or whatever. It was like, no, I'm gonna go check Alan out. You know, I'm gonna you know, hit you up when I come to Nashville. And
I can't, or when I play playing games, John Langston out there was the first time that
you and
I
Adam
invited you out, and we didn't get to talk that time, but you came out and you made sure that I knew that you came out to like see me and stuff, and you had to go. I think you were playing like later. Summer or something.
Yeah, I should say I don't remember.
But yeah, I mean that's what it takes.
But it was an effort, you know. And again, there's other guys from Columbus that are well connected that, you know, I went out of my way to meet those people and put myself out there. And I think that's also very important for young artists. Is like that's pretty much what it's all about.
Authentically put yourself.
Who do you know?
Not with your hand out, but
Right.
wanting to learn and wanting to grow and be around people that you think getting places you want to go is completely natural and should be like walking with open arms.
Yeah.
Too often we see the first things. How can you help, man?
Yeah.
Right.
First, it's like talking, creating a real conversation first, then like getting to know them. I'm like, that's also how you could see how they got to where they got.
Right.
Getting to know them as a person, you're like, oh yeah, now I see. Like he's driven, he's passionate, he's, you know, it's not always just handout.
Yeah.
But I'm with you 100%. There are so many people that helped champion for me like before, and I almost never asked for it. I just wanted to learn. I wanted to like, most of the time it started with, hey, I really love your stuff. Like I've been listening to it, I've been dissecting it. Like I love like the writing style. I love all this. Would you like to get drinks sometime? Would you like to hang out? Like, like pick your brain a little bit. Great. If not, like, let's just get to know each other.
Yeah. You don't ask for help. You just be yourself. And you know, it took me about 2 years to break his walls down over here, but it finally made. Yeah. No, we actually were just like coincidentally like ended up at Put in Bay a couple times together, like playing gigs, and you know, I think that really kind of started it.
Key West of the Midwest.
Put out Bay is what they call it. Yeah, it's a wild little island up there, but good times.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I used to struggle with that. So like my personal life, I'm so secluded from everybody. You know what I mean? I'm literally turned for people. Private. Yeah, I'm very private. Like I got a lot of things people don't even know about me, which is good. You need your privacy, man. I mean, I think that there's a certain part of yourself that should always remain private. I think, and that doesn't mean the dark parts or anything else.
Right.
I think it's just, you need to keep some stuff to yourself to maintain an identity and not let anyone use stuff against you. Like,
That's it.
it happens a lot.
Yeah. But hell, I forgot what I was gonna say. That's an A.
Well, that you basically, you know, you had a hard time kind of letting people into your circle.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was just like one of those things where, you know, being trampled on in this business so many times, you start being calloused. You know what I mean? And you start like really just, nah, I'm good. You know, hey, come out, have a drink with us. No, I'm good. Hey, let's have a meeting. I'm good. You know what I mean?
Because I circle you can have control of.
Yeah.
Not in a weird way, but like,
Yeah, 100%.
I can control information in this circle.
Right.
I don't want people like,
Yeah. So, you know, and then the whole thing with like collaborating with artists and stuff like that, never thought about doing that. I was always about Al and Carl, you know, where am I going? What am I doing? How can I better myself?
Who's along for the ride?
But what I came to find out is, you know, guys like Trae, guys like, you know, Blake Tyler and some other guys that are in the industry alongside of me. It's just like, use them as, you know, not use them. I'm not saying use you. I'm saying as a, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes you get called, you know, one of your friends up and be like, yo, man.
because no one else gets this stuff either.
Exactly. You
That's
know,
the
that's
next
what we were
point,
talking
yeah.
about the other day. You know, it's like the core group that we have in this business is pretty strong. I'd say we're all really good friends and all really solid, you know, and that helps in this business, man. You see guys like Morgan, you see guys like Ernest and Hardy, and they got that bond, you know what I mean? They got that tight bond and they're just rolling this business, man.
Yeah. Everyone wants to pretend Nashville doesn't have clicks or anything, which it truly, in my opinion, never had. It's changing some, but there's always like, I feel like there's always been groups of people that kind of rise together, of course, in Nashville. Even now, same things happening, you know, and that's one of them. I mean, that's like the biggest thing in all music right now. Like that group of writers, like, man, like unreal.
I'm sure that's been happening forever in the industry. You know what I mean? Like,
They know each other so well, writing stuff. They're not like afraid to throw shit out, right? Even shit. Like,
yeah.
And they want to hang out with each other, you know what I mean? As they like each other's company.
And those bonds,
There is nothing that is more unsatisfying than be in a room writing with somebody that is just totally everywhere, definitely not on your wavelengths. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, why the F am I even this person? You know what I mean? So it's nice to have friends like that are, you know, your buddies. You would go out and have a beer with them. You know what I mean? I don't want to be going out and having a beer with somebody that's not on my wavelengths. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, to me, that's like, you just like button. You know what I mean? And in writers, writers' rooms, it happens all the time.
That's what I was just gonna say. I think writers' rooms, I think you get to know people very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it's like speed dating. Like,
It truly
I'm on
is.
steroids. You know, it's like by the time you get out of that right, you have a pretty good idea of who, if they're being authentic and real and and like, I also just read people fairly well, and I know when people are just, oh, they're a little too shy to like throw stuff out there, whatever. But yeah, you leave that room, and normally one write, I know whether I'm going to be excited to write again, or if I'll write again because they need help or whatever, you know.
Right.
But yeah, we sit down, we open up instantly. Like guys don't do normally. Yeah.
Right.
We don't do that on the golf course or anywhere else. Yeah. But in a room, it's a cool, safe, like sacred place for even guys to be vulnerable and like, spill shit.
I dig that. Yeah, it's cool.
I think as like, you know, a man, you know, grown man, and it's hard to make friends. You don't necessarily want to make friends at this point. I'm like, I love you, man. Yeah.
Somebody say I love you, man.
I haven't. No,
Movie?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right, that's
I'll go. Is it on Netflix right now?
It's probably ever.
I'll check it out. But there's something special about like knowing people that are chasing the same thing, and you realize how similar of personalities and like struggles and
takes to do it.
everything that you've experienced in life where you feel alone. Like, this dude is feeling the same thing. You're feeling the same thing. And that to me is like the type of friendship that I've been looking for. You know what I mean? So it's all about music for me at this point.
You guys don't want to put out that song? It sounds like
I would do it. I would do it. Yeah. But it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
So I get guys on tail these days. Let's say.
So obviously, like, when you build those connections with people, you want to work with them, you want to write with them. What part? There's always going to be this conflict, like, you know, everyone wants to say like, oh, I'm going to be this very authentic version of myself, right? How do you balance that life of like, hey, we're going to write what we want to write and what we love to do versus like, hey, this could be a hit, you know? Like, how do you pick between that?
I mean, again, I mentioned earlier, like, songs, for me, songs...
We should keep that like a standard question.
Yeah.
See what the answers are. Yeah, it's a sweet question.
Yeah, I think songs, again, they come together as you're going through the process. So like, you can sit there and think of ideas or hooks and kind of run with that. But like, for me, I don't necessarily know where the song is going to go until it's through the first chorus. And then that second verse is like, okay, this is what we're writing. The second verse is so damn hard. You always want it to be better than the first verse, you know? You always want it to be better. You guys ever flipped the verse 1 and verse 2 just because it was better? Yeah.
A couple terms. Yeah,
This makes more sense here.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just enjoy the co-writing and like not really knowing where it's going to go until it's happening. And, you know, that's just from my personal experience.
I love that because, you know, I think everybody puts themselves in a box when they write. They're like, oh, is it my brand? Is it my style? Is it? Who cares, man?
Especially by yourself. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Co-writing. I mean, there's stuff that started out like for other artists we were writing, and I went to like, nope. Halfway through, I'm like, I'm cutting this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, does anyone care? Oh yeah, I'm gonna cut this. Yeah.
No doubt. You know, it's just like, you know, I sit down, I'll write like a pop song. You know what I mean? Or I'll write an R&B song. You know what I mean? Like,
I think
I just love it all, man. Like blues, I'd write a jazz song if I could. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I listen to everything. I love every kind of music. It's just like, it's a way of life, man.
Then you got people in your ears saying like, you know, that's not your
Well, that's
image. That's not who you
that's
are.
happened. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Those people.
I can't say.
No names.
Nobody.
No.
But you know,
I was going to say, most of the time it's people not in the industry or not. People that
they're
are
in
not
it.
invested.
They're in it. But like, we had a conversation about it.
We'll shy away from that.
Yeah. Like, Alan, don't be afraid to release songs, bro. Like, if you like it, just release it.
Because I have this song, and it's more on the pop side. You know what I mean? But, you know, my sound, what my brand is, if you look at me, you know what I mean, it's like, I'm country rock, you know what I mean? And this kind of, it's definitely a pop song, you know what I mean? It's like a pop country song. I recorded it actually R&B like in Atlanta, Georgia. Did a whole project with a bunch of producers down there and stuff like that. And most of the project was R&B stuff. So they're like, who's this white boy singing like this? You know what I mean? Like these runs and stuff. And I mean, we got some really good songs out of it, but then I got these songs, but it ain't my brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I feel like music is so quickly evolving. We've seen it so many times. Like, a perfect example is, do you think, so Audi, and probably, I'm pretty sure it's still his most streamed song ever, is Burning It Down, which is just a plain pop track.
Yeah.
Like, nothing, I mean, his vocals and like maybe some of the subtle is country rock, but the rest of it's just a pop track. Like, and one of his biggest, something that no one expected from him, but that changed. It was enough him that people still got it.
right.
And again, little, like, the dude that wrote like Laughed Until We Cried, I'm like, you know, put out that stuff, put out that, and that was bigger than that. And so I think that's the cool part about music too, is like, again, if you write it, it is you.
Right.
Like,
it's your voice. What I say? All right. It's
And
your
I'm
voice.
like, I feel like the rest of it, like, FGL's changed their sound how many times per album, you know what I mean? It's true. Over and over. And I feel like if you want longevity, you have to be able to adapt and evolve somehow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean like having to go full pop or anything else. It's just changing and giving people something they're not used to, but it's still authentically you.
And I think that's cool too. You know, it's like refreshing. You know, it's not like, you know, if I listened to, you know, Brantley Gilbert and every song was like Kick It in Sticks. Yeah, you know what I mean? You'd be like,
You'd be
it's
done.
another one, you know what I mean? But no, he puts out, you know, ballads that are amazing, you know, and then collabs with people that,
He puts out fun stuff. He'll put out lyrically like really, really dope stuff.
Yeah.
Real. But it's always him.
right.
And your sound is your voice.
Yeah. I mean, overall, it really is.
It's your voice.
It's just weird because, you know, it's hard, you know, it's not really hard, but you know, it's like challenging, you know, it's like being a singer that can sing pretty soft, you know, with grit, belt, you know what I mean? It's like,
When you're versatile,
Where you
what
go?
you
you know what I mean? Like,
It's just also a problem. Yeah.
it's like you're battling with your sound, you know, and then you start second questioning yourself. You know, it's like, oh, I got this pop song out, but if I put that pop song out, is this what people are going to remember me by? And then I have to keep on with that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
can I go and do the raspy stuff again? You know what I mean? It's like,
I think so. I think in the world we're in right now, again, I think that stuff is completely okay.
yeah,
I think we've seen enough from major stars that have went the opposite direction over, and
T Swift.
so it's not something that's just random anymore and like would be crazy. Actually, Garth Brooks is doing the Chris Gaines.
Yeah, man.
That was like the start of that, like, weird. And again, it was weird then. No one got it. Now that stuff happens all the time. And people are like, that's cool.
It was like Jelly Roll too. You know what I mean? Going from
Dude, great example.
trap rap, you know what I mean? And like,
And kind of just whatever.
yeah,
Whatever he felt and whatever he was like doing at the time, whatever cliques he was in. And then, he evolved into what he is now, which is the hardest working.
oh, dude,
Like,
guy is
good
good.
Lord. And again, but I've never heard a single bad word about him. Like,
I want to meet him because I think he's like a most genuine down earth. You know what I mean, and I've met a lot of genuine down earth people, but
AK was on tour with them. Alexandra K wrote like a kind of dome for her.
Okay.
And yeah, she said like her big brother out there. Like,
Dang, that's awesome.
I mean, they would have long talks about like life and everything.
Yeah.
It's just a very intelligent, down to earth being.
That's sick.
He seems like he's never rushing a conversation, you know, like he's always in it until the conversation is over. You know,
She mentioned that too. Yeah.
Have any of you guys watched Dave on like Hulu?
What season is it on? I watched the first 2 or 3.
Yeah, that conversation. Yeah, it's Lil Dicky's like
It's on FX.
it's like a dramatization of his life basically, and it's really good.
Yeah, like fake, but yeah.
It's fake, but it's like
Hollywooded biography.
real. Yeah, it's like an over exaggerated version of his life.
Plays himself.
And that conversation just reminded me of that because, like, right when he was getting started in the show, he puts out this song. It's called, like, My Dick Sucks. And he's like, this is funny, haha. And it like blows up. Like, it's fun. Like, people are making fun of it, and they're like, this is hilarious. And then
A lot of money.
he was like, I want to be like a serious rapper, though, you know. And everywhere he went, like, people were like, oh, say it, say the line. He's like, oh my goodness. And it's just like his identity was that, but he didn't give up on.
That's what went viral.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like what he wanted, but you know, he's like, at the time, he's like, this is just a funny thing, and that was the thing that stuck with him.
And you might have to work to turn it around or build it in there. But again, I mean, take down Dallas.
Hop Tua.
Like that launched like Trae had great music. He's been around forever. I mean, he was in Nashville 10 years before that, and played great music. Just wrote great music. No one gave a shit until Take Down Dallas. And then all of a sudden, people started looking at what he had and what he was going to be putting out, and now I'm sure he still hates every second that he has to sing that at the end of a show. But guess what? He's selling tickets. People are coming out, and I think people like him. And that shows almost like what I hope this shows for most people. It shows a funnier side. Like, I'm not all just serious. Like, I'm not someone that you can't come up and talk to or joke with just because my songs are about this. My songs are about heartbreak and like all, sad shit. Doesn't mean that my life is sad all the time, or like you can't come up and crack a joke. Like, I feel like it's kind of like that. It makes more personable.
Yeah. I totally agree. I have these songs, and I feel like these songs that I have out right now on iTunes and Spotify and stuff, it's almost like a roadmap of my life, which is so cool to me. You know what I mean? Like, from when I first put a song out, which was 2017, it's Feeling It Now. It's like all the songs that are leading up to me being, 32 now, maturing in age. You really can even like roadmap, the progression of it.
It's a storyline.
And it's like, dude, it's literally like a story. And everybody says that. They're like, all your songs.
It's like a diary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, dude. And that's why I just like, I like to put out songs that, I don't know, that just like speak to me. And I feel like
They represent a time in your life.
yeah. Cause like, I don't know, I write a lot of songs that are like way different than the last one I wrote.
Yeah.
Like Darker Side of Me is about,
That's how you get better. Bro.
yeah, like, I got Darker Side of Me that's about, abuse, like, a guy hitting on you, hitting girl, you know what I mean?
I listen to them, man.
Yeah.
I heard you mention this one before. We'll throw links down at the bottom for both their music and stuff too.
I think so.
What happens on tailgate?
That's right. Yeah. What happens on tailgate stays on tailgate. Yeah.
You're cool too, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we the whole idea behind that was like, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's so countrified. What happens on tailgate stays on tailgate. So that's how we wrote that song. But yeah, things are very different. It's like you got Chasing Trouble. You're always in trouble. You know what I mean? You got All Time Classic, which is about one of my vans. You know what I mean? That I had. It was called a Red Sled, and it had a plaid headliner and shit. It was dope. Had dice from the rear view. Like, all that stuff is like, all my music is so true. Oh, dude.
We'll have to cut that. I can't say it.
We're past like the 10-minute mark, so you're fine.
But yeah, man, I think it's just so cool. I don't know. Music is just so inspiring to me. And guys like you and, just seeing everybody just flourish and stuff. I mean, it really makes me happy. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like knowing guys in your life that, and even girls, you know what I mean, that are just doing what they love to do and flourishing at that. You know what I mean? It just takes the self-respect out of it, Yeah.
And that's, like, again, Trae and I, when like he first, like, we kind of had mutual fans at first, I think, that like were like tweeting or like commenting or whatever. You should write with Ryan, then I would get it. You should write with Trae, he's from Columbus. And eventually, like, yeah, we made it happen. And I mean, I told him the same thing. I think what makes music so fun is how it connects people.
Yeah.
And whether it connects with fans and you're writing to connect with like people and let them know they're not alone, or like, yeah, us, what we go through, there's so many people that won't understand putting your life out there for the world constantly, just, again, spending thousands of dollars for one song just so someone can be like, yeah, that's garbage.
Yeah, dude. Damn, that's real.
Right? And it's like the stuff we go through, that's like, I always believe like, that's why it happens the way it does too. It's like you need a group of people around you who get it, who can keep picking each other up every time someone stumbles. And we all do that. Like, I don't care how long you're in this industry. If you think that it's all going to be just sunshine, you're crazy. Thank you.
And
True.
Somebody's gonna make it hell for you.
But yeah, Trae's great dude, man. We hit it off right away. And I've always had this mindset, and Tyler Rich, Nick Alleygood, Spencer Crandall, that entire, like, Fillmore, Brett Young, Nat Ferranti, Chris Ferrara, I go on and on. Like, that group that I kind of came up with, it was the same mentality, man. People showed up for each other. If you were playing, you best believe that every single one of them were going to be up.
Yeah.
Vice versa. And it was like just creating a really cool community that let you know where you were was the right place to be at the time, you know? And music does that, man. It connects people so well. I think there's plenty to go around. The competition thing is just so silly to me.
Yeah.
And we know some of those guys. And I've never bought into it. I don't believe that either one of you guys are competition to me. I think we're all unique human beings. And if we can help each other create, even better. Like, let's amplify the fan base. And, like, you know, to me, that's always been it. And Trae, I saw that, like, right away from Trae. He was quick to, like, I saw how he took care of his band. I saw how he took care of the people around him. And I was like, that just reminded me of me. I'm like, I don't get anything if I'm not planning on paying it for it.
That's right.
Or I won't take it in the first place.
That's right.
Yeah. It's definitely a community that I feel like back in Columbus, it doesn't really exist. You know, it's everybody. Well, first of all, everybody's busy and working and playing shows on the same nights and stuff, but nobody collabs. Nobody works together as far as, creating music. So I do feel like Alan and I are kind of starting a new thing, a little bit in Columbus with just bringing artists together and like, hey, listen, collab, work together. And, if Alan blows up, you bet your ass he's going to take me. You know what I mean? And vice versa. And if he doesn't, I'm cutting his balls off. But, it's all about teamwork and, coming up playing sports, like I love teamwork. I want to be on a team. Playing solo gigs is kind of boring. Playing full band gigs is a lot more fun. But solo gigs are easier, quicker.
Unselfish. You really are, though, too. Like, and I'm kind of saying, man, it's like, to me, the cool part is sharing the experience. It's like, if this were just about me getting up there by myself every time would be it. That would be the pinnacle, right?
Yeah.
Boring. And it's not. Like, it is. It's boring because you're not sharing it with people who share the same passion and stuff. And, it's, again, all coming from being athletes and being parts of teams and stuff, too.
Yeah.
That mentality was,
forced to dust there early.
I think it's pretty cool too because like I don't know about you guys, but posting that you're collabing and stuff, people love that. People love to see, you know, oh, they know Trae Myers, you know, they going out to his shows and stuff. And then, oh, we've seen now, and now they're collabing. This is great. You know what I mean? Like, people dig that stuff.
Dude,
I think it only helps, like, across the board in general. I've never seen anyone be like, why'd they do that?
Right.
You know, it's like, no, everyone's even more excited because, again, they get to listen to two artists they love together or whatever. Tyler Rich was really big, like, before I even moved. I mean, talk about reaching out. Like, he walked me into pub companies my very first trip to Nashville. Did not tell me about it, nothing. He set it up at, like, Garth's, like, pub company, Major Bob, Sony, where else? Warner. Yeah, I think those were three. And it was like, we're having a Sunday fun day. And it was like, saying Neho, it was like 2-for-1 margaritas, which was like $40 for 2 margaritas. It's $40 a margarita, 2-for-1. No, but yeah, I was like, well, I think we'll call it early then. And it was like 3. I was like, I'm hammered. Yeah, he's like, yeah, you have to be up by 8 for a pub meeting. I should probably take off now. But I was lucky enough to, again, never ask for that stuff, but just, like, again, surround myself with people who are openly giving. And I feel like, again, when you connect with people, like, authentically, you don't have to ask for things. Like, you don't have to ask for them to do that stuff. They want to do it for you. I've done it plenty of times, and to me, it is just as fulfilling helping someone else get somewhere than it is to me get there. Like, if not more sometimes. So
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah, you've always been super, super open with me, and you know, allowing me to stay with you and helping me in studio, and you know, like it's obvious that that's your personality. So
I was just waiting for you to take off so you could take me with you.
well, that's the goal, you know. One of us gotta eventually get somewhere. So, and again, we've gotten there. You know,
You know,
Everything is doing it for a living.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
again, there's so many jobs, and if you're going to do this, like, for a living, man, blessed.
I always have to put it into perspective for myself too. It's like, you know, when I was that 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, you know what I mean, on the side of my bed, playing guitar, writing songs, not knowing where I was going to go, who I was going to meet, situations I was going to be in, how I was going to grow as a person, had no answers to those questions. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a thought in my mind, really.
yeah, baby. All right, that should be enough.
You know, we're trying for this maker sponsor, and you keep, oh, there you go. Pay for it.
Lost his train.
Yeah, way to go.
He saw the whiskey. I was like,
Yeah. So, you know, when I was younger, you know, you don't have answers to life's questions yet. You know what I mean? You're still in that, you know, immature state. But you got dreams, you got aspirations, you got things that you're looking forward to.
Goals.
Yeah. And I always revert to this. I always put it in perspective for myself, because obviously all of us get into our heads all the time. We say, are we doing the right thing? Are we making the right moves? Are we, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I battle with that every day. And that's the Jersey coming out.
Oh, yeah, we know. Dude. I think all creators will always second guess everything, and will always overthink everything. But you have to find that balance again, where you're like, is it going to be better, or is it just going to be different? Like, and go.
Yeah, and I revert back, and I think of myself on the side of my bed, and I go, you know what? That dude, if he was standing right in front of you, he'd be proud of you, man.
For sure.
Dude, I take those moments, like, especially this past year.
You know what I mean?
And think back to that kid who has not experienced any of the shit you've experienced since then. And again, those dreams. I remember closing myself in the bathroom, playing by myself for 3-4 hours, just recording myself. And that kid had no idea that I would ever make a living out of this,
actually everyone around me. And in small towns, it's like, music, you should probably go to college. Or should all you do this. I did that. Paid off my loans with music.
Let me ask you, did you ever feel, obviously we've all done a 9 to 5, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you ever feel like...
Since I was 7.
Yeah. You ever feel like you're in this 9 to 5, but you know what you really want to do, and there's just something trying to pull you out of that 9 to 5 to do what you really want to do in life? You ever got that like feeling? Any of you guys?
Yeah, I've got a good story about recently, actually.
Really? Oh. Yeah, no, so when I moved down here, in my head, I was like, I'll just keep doing what I've been doing, like filming weddings and stuff. And obviously I didn't know a ton of people down here. So it was like, okay.
Caleb also did, he did school photography for the entire county, basically.
Yeah.
And senior photos, stuff like that, all of that. Really cool. I do want to mention this because during 2020, when all of the shit went down, Caleb invested his own money to go out and
That's why we have a podcast.
and software and stuff for live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So he could stream the high school sports and stuff for everyone, and it was done for free. People.
Well, yeah, for people to watch. Yeah, no.
Schools help pay for it.
Oh yeah,
they should.
Yeah. It was just funny how that happened. I was just doing it for fun. So I went to one basketball game and streamed a game in 2019. I was like, why doesn't anybody do this? And then the next year, everything closes down and nobody can go to a game anymore. And I was the only person that had ever streamed a game ever, in the county. And well, not ever, but recently, within reason, nobody was putting on TV anymore or anything like that. And so, when all these schools closed down and they were like, hey, nobody's allowed to go to games, I got every, athletic director, principal, superintendent was calling me. They were like, hey, we need games covered. And I'm like, it's a good opportunity, right?
Sell tickets.
Yeah, right. And so that's partially what half of this gear is just streaming equipment. But I ended up streaming for 6 schools in our area. We shot in 2020. We from nothing, we didn't do anything the year before other than photos and stuff like that. We did 220 some streams in about 140 days. Wow. So it was just you go from nothing to all of that. I actually wanted to move down here in 2021. That was kind of my plan. But when you're doing that, you're like, well, now I can't. Within reason, you could, but the money was good. Obviously that keeps you around. But then also people
no one
relied on it.
Doing that, yeah. Or it was if you left, that would stop.
And so every year, really, up until this year when I moved down here last year, it just felt a lot like I kept telling myself, well, there's, I've got this. Well, this is coming up this year. This is coming up. And
we all do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And in my head, I was like, look, I don't care what 2024 brings you. If you really don't want to be here and you want to be in Nashville, you just have to do it. You have to go and do it. And so I moved down here. I didn't really have anything lined up, right? So I started doing a sales job. Shout out Justin. I went out to Old Smoky with him 2 days ago. But he was my boss and I worked 9 to about 7 p.m. 6 days a week for 3 weeks. And in my head, I was like, I thought oh, I could do this. Yeah. And I was like, no, now what are you going to do? This is what you'll do. You won't have time to make anything. And so, so I called him one day and I was like, hey, can you come meet me at my apartment? And he's like, well, you don't want to sell windows anymore? And he knew, he knew. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, no, I get it. He's a super cool dude. But he came over and he's like, yeah, no, he's like, honestly, you inspire me. He wants to do his own power washing company. So he wants to start his own business. And he's like, I would have never even thought about doing that again. Unless you would have been here, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And whatever comes of it, I'd rather risk making it doing what I love to do than be dead inside every day.
You're a boss and be controlling your life, not letting your life revolve around someone else's dream.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Their schedule.
Yeah. So that was my little Nashville work story. That was the first job I ever had, actually, which is like crazy. But yeah, but yeah. So up until that point, like it really is a lot of believing in yourself and going back to that last point of like, hey, if you want to do something, learn to do it and be passionate about it. Like I will help anybody that shows any initiative in anything, but if your goal, like if I would have came to you,
people sometimes.
yeah, like if the first thing I ever would have done ever was, hey Ryan, I want to take pictures, like you would have never, you'd be like, okay, like another person that likes to take photos, but you ended up reaching out to me because of what I built already, and I think that's important for people too, is like start somewhere, get to where you want, and then those opportunities will come,
2 points. The first one being like what you said about like, what's his name? Sorry.
Justin.
Yeah. Being inspired by you, like being like,
And that was a guy that,
like, I'm not doing this, like,
Yeah.
kind of your guy. I'm meant for more than this. That's, to me, that's the beauty of this too. Is like how many times when you're alone though, and you don't have people around you that get it, or they're like, yeah, that's part of it, but man, we got this. Like, and again, what a team does is pump each other up. Let them know that what they're doing has purpose, even when they don't feel like it does. I mean, that's huge. And that, like, the one part about Nashville that I feel like is like why people want to be here, why like people say to be here, is because of that. Like, you are constantly around people chasing it. What makes you want to chase it more than that? Knowing that you're not hearing, oh, that's tough, and like music stuff, you shouldn't do that. You should have a backup plan. You should, like, you don't hear that stuff here.
yeah, well, and Nashville's such like I mean, it is what it's a city like every other city, but when you move somewhere else that isn't your hometown or isn't like a small town mindset, it's just such a different, like everybody's trying to make it, like everyone moves here with a goal. They're not, whereas like people stay in their hometowns and, not all the time, but a lot of the time you'll get that negative feedback of like, why did, they're not going to tell you they didn't make it and they're upset about it, but you're going to hear about it and why you suck at what you do. Yeah. And that's what I think super cool about this area is you meet new people and they're like, yeah, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do X, Y, Z. And you're like, me too, versus, hey, here's what I'm doing. And they're like, yeah, that'll never work.
You're getting a real job.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
When you want to sell windows,
Yeah.
you don't knock on doors.
I was a real life spam call. That's what I was. I was like, hey, I know I hate this too.
Yeah, the worst people.
I don't really want this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, I lost the second point, so
Yeah. Wasn't that good though.
floating around. Maybe we'll find this.
Do you want to go to like what's coming up? Get into their songs and then we can go to like them playing.
You have nothing lined up, right? Releasing.
Release wise, I'm working on a handful of songs. I would love to get out about 10 songs up to an album by October. We'll see. I'm gonna work my ass off to do it. I think I have like
part of a couple of those.
Well, of course. As of right now, I'm again just like doing it in my apartment, like trying to just get the melodies and the tonality and the music situated, but send the stems off, so I'm sure that's where you're gonna come into play as far as that goes. But yeah, we actually just booked a co-headliner gig, me and Alan, at Newport Music Hall in Columbus, and it's definitely a bucket list. I played there many years ago, but it was like back in my pop punk days.
I saw that there.
21 Pilots.
Yeah.
I saw them there sell out twice.
Yeah. So the promoter, he put me on Kimba Live last year with Chris Young, and he believes in me enough. He is yet to know who Alan Carl is. So once he finds out who Alan is, he's gonna be like, well, we got our next opener this year, Trae. You're going to be on the back.
I would say that everyone that's heard Alan, like, they go to social media afterwards.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty much always.
But
Appreciate you here
for sure. He, he said that, you know, if you can sell out the Newport Music Hall, it's 1,400 tickets. It's like, if you sell it out, he's like, that alone will have people knocking on your door. You're gonna, your Columbus fan base is gonna grow. You know, booking agents, labels are gonna be calling you. So
Video guy.
hey, listen, we're gonna bring all hands on deck. Everybody's got a guy. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It just now is like dawning on me, by the way. So, you know, for us, we're gonna take it as serious as possible. And again, like I've been working on all these songs, and he mixed and mastered and maybe, you know, recut. But I have a bunch of songs that I would love to get out before October 10th in Columbus. And I know that Alan's been working on a great song called Jack Daniels and Jesus that I think is one of the best written songs that I've probably ever heard in my life.
Yeah, you said that's coming up, right? Scheduled out, or
It's not scheduled yet. No, it's not even a queue yet. But I wrote it like, I don't know, a month ago, and
did you write it by yourself?
yeah.
There you go, man.
It's incredible.
Going back, so our first collab actually was that our first Trae? Our very first Trae when we wrote Take It to the Bank?
No, that was like our second or third.
Okay. It was like very early on, like when you guys were coming down.
Yeah.
That ended up on my 6th Hello Summer EP, kind of like the Luke Ryan Spare Break EPs kind of thing, and it's all collabs, and we wrote that one. I wanted to put it out, but again, to me, collabing and showing the network of people that help create what you're doing, to me, is authentic and cool. And so everyone that was a part of those songs, or people that wanted to be a part of it, broke it up and put them all together as a collab. It's just kind of a fun project, and thank you for being part of it.
Yeah, dude.
And it's doing pretty well.
Yeah. I remember that I recorded all the vocals on that first.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was going to release that song, you know, and then I forget really what it was. You stole that shit straight up. Yeah. He stole it, and, you know, it's got more streams than any of my songs, but no, I'm just kidding. I think it was just like, to me, it didn't fit the vibe that the rest of the songs that I cut at that time, but it was so much your style too, because we wrote it together, and, you know, it ended up coming out with your vibe, you know. But I was like, hey, actually just keep my vocals on that second verse and put it on the chorus as well. So, you know, I appreciate doing that.
Yeah, he was like, but what about the second chorus? I'm okay. And I was like, all right,
Yeah. No, but it turned out really good, man.
But that's kind of why I started the LA Summer things, is kind of like mixing up everything that we talked about too. Is naturally I gravitate towards kind of more country rock stuff and meets like R&B or meets pop. Like
We need it right now.
and totally for sure. But that I also like been a water baby since as long as I remember. Like I love being around water, and I grew up listening to Kenny Chesney and Chick Owen, and that was one of those things that I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool to have someone like you be the soundtrack for someone's like you're, you know, like while I'm out there doing it, I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool to be a part of people's lives that way too? Not just the sad shit, like the good times too, and be a part of that. So that's why I kind of divided it up and did it like the Hello Summer EPs that are kind of separated from my brands, almost 2 brands. That way, like, you knew that like all this kind of some of it fairly cheesy or feeling that way, it's just feel good, isn't all my depth.
Yeah.
And that's why like I kind of did that same thing. It's like you do want to, especially early on, when you want to protect your brand and kind of you want to give people a general knowledge of what they're going to get from you.
Yeah.
And that's why I waited until after the second album before I put out the Hello Summer one.
Yeah, I love how you collabed with artists throughout that whole EP. Like, that was the coolest part about it, man. It's like, and again, that gave me the idea of really like starting to try to do that in Columbus. And I hit up North Nashville. I hit up Alan. I hit up Devin Henry. You know, there was a couple other guys I hit up.
Yeah, I wrote Coast to Coast there.
With North Nashville. Yeah. So yeah, we actually got a really cool song in the works right now that Evan helped write, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Talk about a great vocalist.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
Some big boys, some big pipes.
Oh yeah. Got a lot of soul too. Got a lot of soul. But yeah, back to Jack Daniels and Jesus, man. You wanna play it for him?
You guys ready for that?
We'll do it right afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, afterwards? Okay. I'm anxious. I like throwing the harmonies up.
I don't think so. I mean, we can. There's probably about an hour and a half. Or,
Probably it, yeah.
but yeah, we can. I mean, go straight into it from that, sir. Yeah, I think we hit a lot of stuff on that.
How do those parts do, buddy?
Well, Whiskey Talkers, thank you for joining us.
Tight.
From Music City, thanks for sharing your time, a glass, and some stories with us.
And thanks for watching. Obviously, thank you guys for coming on, giving us an hour and a half, 2 hours of your time for sure. I just think this is a great way to, get to know people, talk to people in a different way versus just listening to a song and, hearing, seeing the backstory on that.
Google and find out in any radio interview, or like almost every other interview.
Yeah. And I guess before we do completely close out, do you guys want to let people know where to find you, what's coming up, what you got going on?
Yeah, at Trae Myers Music, Instagram.
How do you spell Trae?
Trae. That's a good question. Nobody ever gets it right. So Trae Music or Myers Music, Myers. Facebook, Trae Myers, TikTok, Trae Myers Music.
Yeah. Alan Carl, ALNCARL, country on everything. So go check it out. And then I also have a website if you guys want to check it out. It's not really updated, but check it out anyway.
Yeah.
And if you guys, where you've been doing this lately, they're both going to record an acoustic thing, and we'll leave those links below, and it'll probably be at the end screen as well. So you check out a couple of their acoustic services.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tune in next week for whoever the fuck we bring on. And don't forget to drink freely or whatever, or drink responsibly. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And talk freely or speak responsibly. Depends on which one you are. Are you drunk? Are you sober? Well, you guys have a good night, and we'll see you guys next episode.